I will show you in this video how to submit your code. Here is a small diagram of how our systems are connected basically. It's a simplified overview. So basically we have Pycharm or whatever IDE you are using. You submit your code into Git, and then Git sends it to Moodle, and basically here you get the results of your code or the task. Actually, it's more complicated because we have this testing system somewhere here, and this does something, and then Moodle is just the way you show the results. But basically for you have to get your code into Git, and everything else is done automatically. And let's see how to do it. So the first step is to create a project in Gitlab. To access Gitlab, basically Gitlab is our implementation of Git. So there are different, you probably have heard GitHub, there are Bitbucket and so on, and we are using Gitlab. And this is the URL where you can, what you can open, and here you have to log in. For login, you should use your username, a UniID, without this at part, basically. And if you don't know your password, you might see it in this URL. If you are not Estonian, then you probably cannot use this system, and then, I don't know, you have to write into help desk to get your password reset or something like that. I have my UniID, which for me is my first name dot last name, but mostly it's 6 symbols from your first and last name. And my password, you can click remember me, then you don't have to log in for some time. Okay, now if you log in, you see your projects you probably don't have if you haven't done anything before. And now we have to create a new project. There is a button here, and there is also a way to click this plus sign here and add new project from here. Or maybe if you don't have any projects here, maybe you even have some big button there that create a new project. For the project, we choose the create blank project. So, and here we have to fill in some fields. The most important is the project's log, which has to be ID 0102 minus 2022. So basically it's a code for this course minus the year. And the visibility level should be private. So I can actually write the project log here, but if I write project name as it in 0 and so on, the slug is filled automatically. Technically, if you really want, you can put some project name like programming here, but then you have to be sure that you enter this project slug correctly. But I don't see a reason why we cannot have this project name and the slug the same, because otherwise you might get confused at times. Yeah. And important is to have it all in lowercase. So sometimes, for example, if you fill it in mobile, it might happen that you have the upper I here and so on. So it's the most certain that everything works is that you have it lowercase. Both the project name and the slug have the same value. And here for project description you can write, for example, programming. Now it's introduction to programming. For example, Taltech. Okay, because it's in Taltech anyway, so there's no other courses for you. Okay, now the project visibility should be private. If you put internal, then other students can see your code, and they can kind of steal your code and submit it as their own, and then there are plagiarism problems, so that you have done it together, and then it's easier just to keep it private. And it's wise to have this checkbox here checked, then it creates a new README file, and that's a great project. So the project is created. you can see there is a file readme, which even has some content already. But yeah, that's done now, and then this is something you have to do only once in the beginning of the semester. So let's see how to connect Git with Pycharm. And for that, I have opened my Pycharm. If you open it for the first time, you should see something like that. Now, there are actually options to create a new project, but what we are doing, we are clicking on this get from VCS, yes, so something like version control system, I guess. And if I click it, then it asks me for the URL. And for the URL, we are using, I just opened the Gitlab webpage all again, and now I click clone and get this HTTPS URL. So just click copy, and now it's copied. And now I paste it here. Of course, you can manually write it, but I don't see why. And also, if you check, there is the directory where this code is put or cloned. So what happens is, for me, it's users and my username and Pycharm projects, and it automatically takes the project name and puts it in the same folder. So it's wise to know what's the location of your code, because maybe you want to check your code or do something with it, so then you know where it is. The default Pycharm project is okay, so there's no real reason to change it. And then we click clone. Now it asks my password again, because it is trying to get it from Git. Probably it asks also the username, so you have to write the username here also. For me, it already knows, because I've already used it before. And if you put your password in, you can click remember, then it doesn't ask you every time you do something. But I don't know, let it be like that now. And login. Now it took everything from Git, which was only one file, and kind of downloaded or cloned it into our computer, and now it opens in Pycharm. With Pycharm, the URL we used, I used this HTTPS URL. If you want, you can use this SSH link also, but for that you have to you have to create a private key and public key, and you have to configure Gitlab so that it can use your key, and then you can use key to access your Git. So it's up to you. There is no real problem in this course. So in this course, it's okay to use this HTTPS. But for improved security, and SSH is recommended. Okay, so now let's try to submit something. And for that, we have to create a file, or we have to write some code. And I have created a demo exercise, basically. And here it is. And for this exercise, you actually get 1 point. So if you follow the video, you should get already 1 point for this effort. So here's the text. There's Estonian text and English text below. Usually the English text is in italic, so you can maybe find it more quickly or easily, but maybe during the course it can change. For example, we tried to put some, I don't know, line here between the Estonian and the English and so on. But let's see. So basically there's the text, and this exercise has to, or this program, what we are doing has to write out hello world. So basically it's a hello world problem or program. Now with the exercises, we have the information about where you have to put your code. So currently it's this is the folder EX, then there is ex00 intro, and then there is the file hello.py. And that's what we have to follow. We have to have the exact same structure in our Pycharm to get it working. And to do that, I open the Pycharm. So here I see my current project structure. So basically there's nothing. There is just a folder where the project is, and I only have this README file here. I will right click on the project name and choose new and directory. And here I create the upper directory EX. And you have to use the same case as written in the text, so it's uppercase letters. Inside that I can also use right click and new directory X6 intro, was it? Yes. And now I can create new file, or actually Python file is easier. And now I can write, the name was hello. If I choose a Python file, then I don't have to put this extension there, so it's hello is enough. If I create the file, it asks me whether I want to add this file to Git. It's normal to answer add, but for just to show you, you can do it later, I just click cancel currently. And now I can write my code here. So let's write the code print. No, print, can make it larger, print, and hello world. So that was my task, to print out hello world. Before submitting your code, it's necessary to test it. I mean, to see whether it actually does what it should do. Otherwise, you just send it out, you wait for our feedback or the tester feedback, and you, I don't know, you kind of waste your time and you waste the tester's time. So others have to wait until your code is tested. So test your code yourself before submitting it. To do that, I can use a run menu here. There is the run kind of selection, or run hello. You can right click on the file, here is run, and actually there is also run button here. And I will maybe do right click here and click run. So now what happens is, if you run your program or something for the first time, the Pycharm doesn't know how to run it, or where is the Python precisely in this case. And I just click cancel currently, and I will configure my Python. And then I take file settings, and here project and Python interpreter. So there's this part of this configuration. And now it shows me here that there is no Python interpreter. So nothing to choose here. I will just click add interpreter, and I choose add local interpreter. There are other options, but those are not important. So, and here also we have different options. We can use virtual environment, which is actually recommended way to do programming, but for this course, or at least in the beginning, we keep it simple. We just use the system interpreter. The virtual environment is good in cases where you have different environments or different programs, for example, or different projects or different courses. Then every course or every project has their own interpreter. And if you modify or add some new libraries, then one doesn't affect the other. But here we choose Python system interpreter, and then I have to find out where my Python program is. It's my username, app data, local programs, Python 3.39, and Python executable there. If there's nothing here, you can click this three dots, and then you have to find it manually. If you have installed it like I did into the default location, then you have to then there is the problem that the app data is by default hidden folder, and you see hidden folders here. There is a special button, so now I can actually see this app data and local and program and Python and Python 3.9, and here is the Python executable, and then I click OK. Yeah, and then OK. So now I've configured my Python interpreter, and now it's configured for this project. I can click OK. And now if I click the run again, I see my code running. Now if we have kind of made sure that code works, at least it does what I think it should do. It always doesn't mean that it does what it has to do. But anyway, at least it works, it does something, and now let's submit this code. So, submitting the solution. Now we have to do this part where we send our code into Git. And to do that, we have some options. For example, I can right-click on the file, this hello, and choose click Git and commit file. Now what happens is that it opens the commit view. But on the right side, there's this commit view. It should be from the beginning. If you open this Pycharm, now you can just click on this commit view. And here you see all the files, basically, which have changed compared with the Git state, basically. And here I have unversioned files. And here I see my hello file here, because hello is not in Git. And also I didn't click add when it asked me when I created the file. So if it asks whether you add this into Git or not, if I would have clicked add there, the file would have been somewhere in different section, we can see later on. I also recommend that you use, there is this kind of button or selection here, which allows you to group your files by directory. Now it's easier to find your files. Now you can see that, okay, all those other files are from .idea folder, and now this my hello is in my own directory. And here, what I have to do, I have to check it. All the files I want to send to Git, I have to check the checkbox here. Currently, it's only one file. And to do that, to put them into Git, I should also provide a comment. Of course, it's easy to write comments like AST or something like that, but I recommend you to actually write meaningful comments, because if you actually go to work, there is, I would say it's a kind of requirement that you write meaningful comments here. My first hello world. And now there are two buttons, and I choose this commit and push. And if I click that, then it takes a bit time, and then there's this new dialog where I click push. So basically commit and push are two different commands. The commit, what it does is that it kind of puts your code into Git, but it puts it into local Git repository. And push is something which kind of synchronizes your local Git and the server Git. So commit and push together push your code into the Git. Now it asks my password again, because I didn't click save or remember. And now it submitted our code. So now if you have submitted your code, now what happens is that you can see the results in Moodle. Originally, you should not see the submissions here, so I just did the same video in Estonian, so that's why I have already submissions here. But it should be empty. But the idea is that you see the results in Moodle next to the text here, and instead of refreshing this page, what people often do, because this testing takes some time, for example, maybe 20 or 30 seconds, so there's no point you kind of hit refresh quickly or a lot of times to kind of get this result. Instead, we have this button here to reload the submission. So you can just click that and you should see the new result. So here I see my result, which should be the first one. And to get some more information about this, I can click on this eye icon. And here I see I have some problems with my code. The first section is for the style. So we automatically check the style of your code. There are certain rules which you have to follow, but basically it gives you all the information about different errors. So for example, no new line at the end of the file. So yeah, just add a new end of new line in the end. And there's the missing docstring problem here. And then there's the main functionality tests. And here it shows me also that there are problems. Currently there were 2 tests. The first one has the name test print hello, and it also has some additional information. For example, whether your code prints actually hello world, the first letter should be capital, and so on. It depends. For some exercises there are more information, for some there are less. And if you don't understand what the test says or what is required, you can always ask in Discord, for example. Okay, so I understand that I wasn't good enough. I have to fix my code. So yeah, there are the results shown next to the exercise text. No need to refresh the page. There is the reload button. Icon shows more details. And then there are points. There are 3 kinds of points. For this example, there is only 2 kinds of points, but basically there are 3. One is for functionality. So you get the result based on how many tests you passed. Then there is the style, and the style point can be either 0 or 1. If I have at least 1 style error, I automatically get 0 points. To get 1 point, I have to fix all the errors. And then there's this defense or code review, which gives you also 1 point. Usually all those 3 components are multiplied together. So if one of those is 0, basically the result is 0. So your goal is to get everything above 0. And you can fix the first and the second one your own, and the third one is you have to find a teacher or assistant who can give you this point. Okay, now I have to fix my code and I want to resubmit it. You can submit your solution several times. There is no limit, usually, if not said otherwise, but we haven't applied this limit so far. And the best solution is taken into account, again, if not said otherwise. And the submission procedure is basically the same. So I take my code, I want to fix it. So it said that, yeah, hello should be exactly as in the text. Usually in this case, it's wise to actually copy this text. So I might even miss some wording, or I don't know, write a typo or something like that. It also said that there should be new line in the end of the file. Okay, I can fix that. And now I'm quite happy. I can, of course, run my code. Now I see that, yeah, it's better. Maybe I'm happy about it and say yes. And let's try it out. Yes, it works. And now I just submit my code again. I open this commit. Oh, it was already opened. I open my commit view, and then there is this changes part which is closed. I open it or extend it, And now I select the hello file and commit it, fix the text. Also put some comment here. Now I press commit button. Just it can happen, it's easy, it's quite blue here, and it's maybe calls you to click on it. If I just click commit, what happens now is that it commits the file into the local Git repository, and our server or Git doesn't know anything about that. So that's the push action, what makes the code to be uploaded to the server. And if it happens that you commit without push, you can always take the Git menu here, and there is this push button or push option. And now you can see that this is actually the same dialog what happened, or which was opened if I clicked commit and push. So basically I did the commit and now I do the push. With this commit and push button, the push is opened automatically. And now I can press push here. Okay, I was lazy to, or I didn't save my password, so I have to enter it every time. And now I can reload. Let's see. Okay, so I get more points. Let's see what happens here. So I still have this problem with missing docstring. I have to write my comment to my file. And there is the problem that your code prints something else besides hello world, but it should not. This is, I mean, usually we don't have such strict tests, or then again we do. I mean, the thing is, the point what I want to make here is that you have to exactly follow the exercise. I understand that sometimes the exercise is, I don't know, silly, and you might try do some other way or have some other kind of solutions for that, or especially the text part. But because our tester, it's not too clever. I mean, it is so clever as clever we can write it. And in this case, we are quite strict, and we are checking whether this result has hello world in it. And it cannot contain anything else. So for example, even if I, for example, remove this line, but I add 2 exclamation marks here, it's still a problem, because the requirements for the exercise were that you have to exactly print this text. Also, the problem would be if I add comma here and so on. It can seem too strict in the beginning, but in the end, you get used to it, and then we even have this a week where you write your own tests, and then you can see how it works. And of course, it's not impossible for us to make tests where we can also accept, for example, this comma here, but it's a lot of work, and actually it's a good thing that you get used to follow the exact rules, because programming or computer wants to have concrete kind of statements, not something like you do something which is similar to hello world. So basically, you still have to give concrete statements or concrete commands to your computer, and that's why we also follow this strict line in testing. So you have to follow the exact rules from the exercise. Okay, and I also want to fix this docstring problem. So docstring is a comment in the beginning of the file. My first program. So basically, it should be a sentence which ends with a dot here, and yeah, there is a separate video about docstrings. All those style issues can seem like too much in the beginning, but you get used to those, and later on, if you write your code, you already know what to follow, and there is nothing really special about those. But during the first few weeks, it can be quite hard. Okay, let's resubmit it. I just check it here and say that fix everything. And now I press the commit and push. And push. Again, my password. Also, what's hard maybe in the beginning is that all those, for example, the file names or the folder names, you have to follow the exact case. For example, if there's uppercase letters, you have to follow that, and if you have lowercase letters, you have to follow that. Maybe also the file structure, maybe also the committing part where you have to, what you have to do exactly. It's okay if you do it right, I don't know, you take the video and then do it in parallel in the beginning, but after a few weeks you get used to it, and there is no problem for that in those parts. So okay, let's see whether I succeeded. Just reload it, and yes, now I got the style correct, and I also got tests done, passed. So here, if there's no style errors, you just see the style percentage is 100%. If you have any questions about, for example, what this test does and what does this style error mean and so on, you can ask in Discord. This is quite okay, and our tasks have, or the exercises often have parts which kind of are written in so that you have to ask. Although, of course, we try to make it more verbose so that if you get the feedback, you can already understand what's missing there. But then again, the tests are not written mainly to kind of give you all the hints and information. Actually, it would be nice for you to think yourself. So we have the problem, you have to think about the different corner cases and so on, but still we try to give you as much feedback as possible, so it might help you to solve the problem. And then there is this code review or defense process. So basically not every, but most of the exercises have to be defended to get this 1 point there, which is multiplied by other points. And then you just have to reach out for the teacher or assistant. I will specify this procedure separately, so where and how to do that. And then those points can be given by the teacher. So usually it's involved, for example, online call where you share your screen and maybe talk about your code a bit, and teacher can ask some questions or maybe give you some feedback. For example, this part of the code you can do differently and so on. After this video, you should have 1 point here. If you loaded this submission information with this button here, the page itself isn't reloaded and this part is not reloaded, then I have to refresh this page and then I should see 1 point here. It can take some time, for example, up to 30 minutes in certain cases, but usually it should appear here quite quickly. Let's hope you can follow this procedure. Everything is clear from this video. If not, give me some feedback. I can do some modifications or add some new video probably, because I cannot change this existing video. But let's hope you find the procedure nice and I don't know, good luck.